So far, we've gone through 6 different types of primary sources, beginning with text, with the genealogy that had been copied by my mother from an article in a newspaper in 1920 in Wayne, Nebraska, followed by a photograph that showed what the World War I soldiers wore and what equipment they carried, followed by a film. We didn't actually look at that film, but I would like you to go back and click on that link and view the film, which is an interview with the 107-year-old Frank Woodruff Buckles, who was the last surviving American veteran of World War I. And then we looked at a sound file. We listened briefly to a fairly boring sound file of a speech by presidential candidate Warren G. Harding in 1920. And then we looked at oral histories, and I pointed out how important oral histories are for a real-life perspective of history of ordinary Americans. And I pointed out that because I found other oral histories that were useful, I wanted you to be aware that I put other links in the notes and comments field after the annotated resource set. And then we looked at newspapers, historic newspapers, which I love teaching with because of the incredible look into the ordinary life of Americans and people worldwide during a certain time period. Next, we're going to go to another set of primary sources, and I call this set Artifacts and Ephemera. Artifacts are objects, usually made by human beings, typically of some kind of historical or cultural interest. Ephemera is a word you may not have heard before. They include a broad range of everyday documents. Generally, they weren't made as long-lasting, but some of them have lasted, so they might be posters, bookmarks, fruit wrappers, theater tickets. If you just look around you, you'll see ephemera surrounding you, things that aren't expected to last a long time, but are part of your ordinary life. I chose something, I think I would say this is something between an artifact and ephemera. It's a piece of sheet music called Welcome Home. It's from a collection of historic American sheet music in the Library of Congress. And you may not think of this, but sheet music works very, very well for historical analysis because of the cover art. You can look at this cover art and you see a soldier returning and soldiers behind him. You see what he's wearing. You see how he's being welcomed. Have all soldiers been welcomed home in this way? Does it depend on the war? Who are the people who are welcoming him? What do they look like? Some of these questions aren't really answerable, but some can be followed up with further research. You might have a student who's really interested in the clothing that people were wearing during that time period. Others who want to know what happened to the soldiers once they got home. Did they go straight to their families? Did they find jobs? There are lots of questions that can be answered here. Another way that you can use sheet music is by going to the actual lyrics. And these lyrics to Welcome Home, you'll find, are very flowery, very excited, a different kind of language than our students are used to hearing in songs today. You might even have students with musical talent who can also learn the music. You might have a pianist who could play the music and others who would sing it. And they could record this music as a soundtrack for later presentations using primary sources.